welcome back to my channel. You're probably wondering why I'm sitting on the floor, and that is because we're going to be going through all of the books that I accumulated in May and June, because I kind of set this goal for myself that I was going to only buy 5 books that were going to be added to my TBR every 2 months. If I bought the book knowing I was going to read it soon or for a movie, I didn't count that. If I was sent a book, if it was like my subscription boxes, like those didn't count. So I've been kind of doing hauls every 2 months to sort of see how I did with that goal and those parameters. Spoiler, I completely just like disregarded those, blew those out of the water the past 2 months. I did really good in May, and then June I kind of went off the rails because it was my birthday and I just kept justifying buying books by like, oh, I'm buying birthday presents for myself. Yeah, that is what it is. I'm not mad at it. I'm never gonna be mad at myself for buying books because it makes me happy. But yeah, I did in fact go way past those parameters. So I figured I would share all of them with you. They are all in my little cubby over here, which is why we're sitting on the floor. So let's just get into it. So we're just gonna start with the cubby and work our way through them. So first up I have Shield of Sparrow by Daphne Perry. This is a new release this year that everybody had been raving about, so I really just wanted to pick it up for that reason. It is actually going to be a book club read for July, so I am at least eventually getting to it. Like, not when I maybe anticipated, but that's okay. I don't know that I'm going to go through like the description for all of these, because if I do, we're just going to be here for a really long time. But this is a fantasy novel that, like I said, everybody's been obsessed with. Then I got this book, The Ghostwriter. I'll be honest, I picked it up because I saw the sprayed edges in Target. I'd never seen anything about this book, but I randomly found it when I was with my mom, and it was a super, like, funny story time. It was a super awkward moment because my mom doesn't know that I read any like contemporary romances or dark romances that have smut in them. So walking through Target, I'm like, I can't pick up any of these books right now because like I just didn't want to have that conversation. And so I ended up like gravitating towards the thriller books, and that's how I found this one. But it is about a family. I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but this one I feel like I want to. A family where 2 teenage siblings are found dead in their own home. The only surviving sibling never shakes the whispers and accusations that he was the one who killed them. Decades later, the legend only grows as his career as a horror writer skyrockets. Ghostwriter Olivia Dumont has spent her entire professional life hiding the fact that she's the only child of that man. Now on the brink of financial ruin, she's offered a job to ghostwrite her father's last book. What she doesn't know, though, is that this project is another one of his lies, because it's not another horror novel he wants her to write. After 50 years of silence, Vincent Taylor's finally ready to talk about what really happened that night in 1975. So I really wanted to share the premise of that because, like, I haven't seen anybody talking about this book, and it just sounds like it's going to be so incredible and mind-bendy. So yeah, very excited about that one. Then I picked up Not So Nice Guy by R.S. Gray. I don't know anything about this. I kind of like just loved the sprayed edges on this because they're just so summery and cute, and it's a friends to lovers, a rom-com, and I think it'll just be great for the summertime. We will see though. Then I picked up The Sweetest Oblivion. This is a dark romance, like a mafia romance. I really wanted to get into more mafia books, and all of the sort of like big dark romance readers that I follow, like Larry Reed's, Mariana, they all recommend this series as like a good intro mafia one, not necessarily, and a good intro dark romance, but like, I don't need an intro to that. I've read Hunting and Haunting Adeline, like, don't need it, I just wanted some more mafia recommendations. Then I picked up one that I actually have read, yay for me, and that is The Butterfly Garden. I need this book on my shelves because this is just, I still think about this book sometimes. It's a sort of thriller mystery book about a young girl who is rescued from this garden, and the FBI is talking to her, sort of trying to figure out what happened during her time there, and it's just such a graphic, disturbing, haunting story that I couldn't stop reading, couldn't put down. Highly recommend if you love Criminal Minds. This gives that vibe. Just maybe check your trigger warnings before you go into it because it's dark. So moving on to another stack. Ooh. All right, so we're going to talk about these 2 first. These are 2 books by K.M. Moronova. I really don't know how to pronounce her last name. I already have one of these. I have The Fabric of Our Souls, but I loved this cover. It's going to go out of print, or is out of print really soon, and I just really, really wanted it. And then A Ballad of Phantom and Hope, I think, is like the second book to that, like it's a sequel, or it's like loosely connected, and it also had a stunning artwork cover that I really wanted before it went out of print. And the author actually designs this herself. So I just felt like I needed to get them because they were just stunning, and I wanted to support an indie author because those are actually indie published books. Then I picked up the first two in the Legendborn cycle. So we have Legendborn and Bloodmarked. These are like King Arthur inspired stories. And that's about all that I know about them. I just picked them up because the second one was really, really discounted at the store. So then I was like, well, I need the first one. I was planning on reading them at some point, so I justify it that way. Another book that I have actually read is Cinder. I read this on my Kindle in May, I believe, and really enjoyed it. It's like a really unique, like, sci-fi twist on the Cinderella fairy tale. And the premise was so cool, and the writing was fantastic. Like, I was so immersed in this story, so I really wanted the physical copy of that. And then an odd one, I picked up I'd Tell You I Love You, but Then I'd Have to Kill You. This is obviously like a middle grade book. But this is kind of like nostalgic and a throwback for me for a series that I really loved. And I do have some books that are from my childhood. I have like all of my Nancy Drew books still. I have some other ones. So like, I hold on to nostalgic books for that reason, and I found this at a used store and it's in really good condition. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to collect these just for that nostalgic factor. Then I have an entire stack of books that I actually didn't buy myself. I was supposed to go to a reading retreat, but it ended up being around the time that I moved, which obviously wasn't planned. Like, I signed up for this retreat sometime last year. But because of the time that I moved and I was just so busy doing everything, I was like, I really can't go to this. Like, I just can't. So I reached out to them and they're like, that's fine, we'll send you the books that you were gonna get. I didn't realize it was going to be this many books, so I really don't know much about them. First we have Lead Us to Temptation. These are all indie authors, by the way, which is fantastic. I believe this is a dark romance. Yeah, because it says she plunges herself into a world of temptation filled with drugs, sex, and alcohol. But her best friend is an archangel named Gabriel. And he has a brother named Lucifer. So, guess we're gonna get some interesting religious elements in there potentially. But yeah, like a dark romance with archangels. Sounds very unique. Then we have Unbound. This is a fantasy that involves a dragon shifter, a princess seeking salvation, and a desperate crime syndicate. So again, very unique. Lots of interesting people intersecting in that. Then we have Summer People, which is very different from the last two. This is obviously going to be a very cute summery read. It is about this woman that goes to an island that she used to visit when she was a kid, and it kind of is like a second home to her. And while she's there, her neighbor is like this grumpy man that doesn't like any of the people that just come around for the summer. He calls them summer people, and like, oh, they've ruined the island, these stupid summer people, and he doesn't want anything to do with her, but his niece loves her, so now he's kind of stuck with her. So it's like definitely grumpy sunshine, and I think it should be cute to read sometime in the next few months. And then we have The Debt Collector. I'm obsessed with this cover, like absolutely obsessed. I don't know too much about this one. I think it's like a fantasy, and I know that she goes out and collects the payment for these debts that people rack up. I just don't know what that entails, but I'm okay with that. I already know that I'll probably love it because of this cover, which is absolutely judging a book by its cover, but that's what we do here. So moving into another cubby, I have another thriller called This Girl's a Killer, and this is kind of it's giving Lana vibes from the Mind F series, because it's about a woman named Cordelia Black, who is an ambitious pharma rep with a flawless reputation and designer wardrobe by day, but by night she calls South Louisiana of unscrupulous men, monsters who think they've evaded justice until they meet her. So, she's a serial killer. I just think that's so much fun. I always love seeing the sort of motivation behind why they're doing what they're doing. And then, obviously, like, something most likely comes into play that could potentially unravel everything that they've been doing, and they might get caught. So that always adds a thrilling element to it. Then I picked up one that is part of an interconnected standalone series, and it's actually the fourth book in the series, but I found this at a used bookstore, and it was super cheap. And I wanted the series anyway, so I'm like, I might as well just pick it up for super cheap, and then I'll go back and get some of the other ones. This is Beneath the Surface by Emily McIntyre. I have some of her dark romance books. I didn't realize that she wrote more fluffy contemporary romance books, so I'm really excited about this one. This is actually about a woman and, like, a private investigator that is supposed to be looking for her, then inserts himself into her life and starts falling for her. I've never seen that type of a dynamic between two main characters in a romance story. So I think that could be very interesting to see how it's done and everything. And then, I don't know, I think it'll be fun. Then I picked up Before We Were Innocent. This I think I've seen this blow up on TikTok, but I'm not sure. Like, I definitely recognized the cover when I saw it. And it's about two young women who, like, 10 years prior, they were cleared of having any involvement in their friend's death, but it didn't stop the media from ripping apart their teenage lives like vultures. Moving forward, the one woman kind of capitalizes on her past. The other just wants to stay out of the limelight. Like, she doesn't want anything to do with, like, media attention or anything like that. The one friend comes to the other one and goes, hey, I messed up, I did something, I need you to help me cover this up. And she feels like she has no choice because she kind of owes her from stuff in the past. And I'm pretty sure it's going to work through the issue, like the crime in the past and then the present day problem. So I always love the present and past timelines with different crimes and the way they intersect. Then I picked up Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. This is another one where it's like really cheap and I've heard great things about it, so I picked it up because why not? I know this is about two musicians, it's a romance, that's all I got for this one. So then I picked up Gods and Monsters. This is the third book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy, which is like about a witch and a witch hunter, and I believe like they get married. I don't know if it's like a forced marriage or he doesn't realize that she's actually a witch. I can't quite remember. I haven't read it yet, obviously, but I needed the third book and it was, again, say it with me, on discount. So I had to pick it up to complete the series. Hopefully I actually like the first two books in the series. Otherwise, I guess it's going back to the used bookstore. Okay, we're trucking along, guys. I still have quite a decent amount. This is why I'm trying not to go super in depth on these. We have Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I picked this up because it's on my 25 and 2025 TBR. Everybody's been raving about this series since like last year, maybe the year before, and I really wanted to know what it was about. I wanted to know what Frederick Bachman's writing is like because I've heard he's an incredible author. So I picked that one up. Then I picked up The Stardust Thief. I was gravitated towards this because of the cover, and then I read the premise, and it is about a criminal who has a djinn bodyguard and she hunts and sells illegal magic, and then eventually she gets caught by the Sultan, who blackmails her into finding an ancient lamp, and she has no choice but to do that, and she ends up on that journey with the Sultan's son, so the prince. So I just love a good quest. I love when they're forced to work together. I think that's fun. I've never really read anything that's inspired by this type of history and lore and everything like a djinn. I've never read anything with a djinn in it. So I think it'll be different from some of the fantasies that I typically read, and I kind of want to try and branch out a little bit more. Then for another summer read, I picked up One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I think people said this is kind of like loosely connected to Every Summer After. I think it's one of the male characters that's in that, so I am going to have to read that before I read this, but I would love to do like a beach trip sometime this summer and just bring these books along and see how many I could binge, so we might have to do that. Then I picked up Second Right, the second book in the Filthy Rich Vampires series. I had the first one, haven't read the first one, found this discounted, you're seeing a trend. Yeah. Hopefully I actually like the first one. I've heard people describe it as like a Bridgerton style story, but with vampires. I love Bridgerton, so there are vampires in there, and yeah, I'm pretty set. Then I picked up Lady of Darkness. This is the indie version. Books A Million has indie versions of books, which is fantastic, and I didn't realize that. I've seen Emmy talk about this a bunch of times, said that she loves it, and I think there's another series that this author does that's sort of like loosely connected to this one that people are obsessed with, so I really wanted to get into this series. This one is following two sisters who are trained by a ruthless assassin lord to take people's lives. And then I guess the one sister is sort of locked away in the noble's household, trapped and forgotten until she's ready to fall in line. And eventually she's presented with a job. If she completes the assignment, her payment will be something she's covered for 10 years, revenge against the Fae Fire Prince who brutally killed her mother. So she's trying to sort of complete this mission that she's been giving. In order to do that, I don't know too much about it, in all honesty, if you can't tell, but Emmy loves it and she's always recommending it, so of course I want to pick it up because we have very similar reading preferences. Then speaking of indie books, I got the last three in the Windy City series. I had the first two in like these editions, so obviously I needed to get the rest of them, so I got caught up, play along, and rewind it back. Hopefully I will be able to finish these sometime this year. It's not on my 25 and 2025 list, but I would really like to because I loved that series so much. didn't want to keep reading third because I didn't own the physical books. They were on my Kindle, and I'm like, I have so many physical books that I need to read. Now I own the physical books, so like, I'll feel a little less guilty about getting into them, if that makes any sense. I know it doesn't, but that's okay. Then I picked up To Bleed a Crystal Bloom by Sarah Parker. I'd heard that these indie covers were going out of print, and I just really loved them. There's something about well-done indie covers that I just can't seem to turn down. I'm not sure why, but yeah, I really wanted this edition, and I don't know really anything about this. I haven't even read the description on the back. I know it's a fantasy, and that's all I got. Speaking of a fantasy that I know nothing about, I picked up two more. We have Metal Slinger. I know people were obsessed with this last year. This is now traditionally published, and when I saw it in the store, I just couldn't resist because it's beautiful, and I've been intrigued by it because everybody's obsessed with it. I just don't actually know what the premise of it is, but I think it'll be fun going into it like that. And then another one that I don't know anything about is Small Favors by Erin Craig. She wrote the House of Salt and Sorrows series, which is a wonderful gothic fantasy for the fall time, so I was obsessed with that last year, really wanted to start picking up some of her backlist, found this for like $3 or $4 at Books A Million, and went, I'm taking you home with me because I really wanted to read some of her other stuff, but I don't know anything about it because I haven't read the description. We have two more cubbies, guys, just two. Another book that I picked up at Books A Million very recently, actually, is The Grimoire of Grave Fates. This is set at a magical school for sorceresses, I think, or witches or whatever, and the professor of magical history has just been murdered. Now everybody's a suspect. This book is written by 18 different authors in 18 different point of views. I've never heard of a book that's written by that many people, let alone with that many different point of views. I just needed to see how this was done. Like, that is the biggest reason that I picked this up. Like, yeah, the setting's cool. Like, obviously there's a mystery involved. Like, I love that, but I really just want to see how on earth we managed to put a book together with 18 different authors. Then I picked up The Assassin Blade. I have this on my TBR for the year, the entire Throne of Glass series. I just keep putting it off. I don't know why. I think I'm nervous to get into it. I did this with ACOTAR too, and I loved ACOTAR. So like, someone encourage me to start this series, please, because I keep telling myself I'm going to. And then I have it. Then I picked up Behind the Net. I just was in like a hockey romance mood when I picked this up. I don't really know why, but I know everybody really likes this for a good, fun hockey romance. So that's why I grabbed this. I don't know much more about it. He's the hockey player she had a crush on in high school, and she's his new live-in assistant. Oh, that's fun. I didn't realize what she did, like what her job was in this world. Then I have a bunch of problems, but one of them is if I don't like a cover in the US, but the UK has covers that I like, I'm going to buy the UK covers and have them sent here. And that's what I did with this series. The first book is Alive and Wells. These are available in Target, and they have actual like people on the covers, and I just don't like it. I like these covers a lot more, so I grabbed the entire series. Yeah, that makes sense, right? These are all like cowboy romances. That's all I know. I know that I was obsessed with Chestnut Springs when I read it, so I justified it that way because I was like, well, if I like Chestnut Springs, I'm gonna like this. So, Alive and Wells. Then we have Seeing Red. This actually might be the third one, but I'm not entirely sure. And Change of Heart. I just like these covers so much more. They're just so much more aesthetically pleasing. Then our last cubby is going to be my special editions for May and June. I don't have my June Fairyloot books yet. I don't know when they're gonna get here because I get like the combo box between young adult and adult. It just takes so much longer for them to get here. So I figured I'd just film this because God knows when I'm gonna get it. I actually just got this one in the mail today. It's a Treachery of Swans. This is my Illumicrate for June. It looks like it's gonna be like a sapphic romance, like fantasy inspired, and it is about a woman who was raised by a sorcerer, preparing for the heist of a lifetime. She's supposed to impersonate a princess, infiltrate the palace, and steal the enchanted crown, and restore magic to the kingdom. The king is unexpectedly murdered, so she is forced to recruit the help of the real princess, and the two begin to unravel a web of lies and deceit that leaves Odile uncertain of whom to trust. It just sounds like it's gonna be really fun. I'm obsessed with this illustration. It's beautiful, stunning, as per usual with Illumicrate. Then one of my Fairyloot subscriptions, we have The Floating World. I don't remember anything about this, if I'm being honest, but the book is extremely pretty. And then my other Fairyloot, this obviously, like I said, would have been for May. We have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I am so excited to read this book. One Dark Window Duology is one of my god tier series, but I'm really nervous too because I don't want it to disappoint. So that's why I haven't started it yet, but I really want to sometime soon. And this edition of it is just beautiful. It's just beautiful. I can't believe we got a special edition of that book so soon after its actual release. And then my Illumicrate for May is A Song of the Legends Lost. This is, I don't remember what the inspiration for this is, but just looking at it, it gives a lot of like vibes of like a fantasy that I never really typically read before, and I'm here for it. I don't know if that sentence made any sense, but it made sense in my brain. Anyway, it's beautiful, it's stunning, and it's the last one in my stack. So we're not gonna go through and see if I was anywhere near my parameters. Like I said, I know I'm not, but that's okay. I'm justifying it by, it was around my birthday and this, that, and the third. Oh my gosh, hold on. I can't believe I almost forgot to tell you guys about this book. I had it on my shelves downstairs already and not with like my entire collection, which is why I forgot about it. But this is one that I was actually legitimately gifted for my birthday, and it is like now one of my prized possessions. It is the German edition of Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. He got it when he was over in Germany and brought it back, and like it's just, it's so thoughtful and beautiful and stunning. Like the colors on this, I'm obsessed. Purple is one of my favorite colors. Agatha Christie is one of my favorite authors, as I'm sure you guys have realized by now, and this is my favorite book by her. So having this on my shelf is just, it just made me so happy. So yeah, I can't believe I almost didn't share this with you guys. Anyway, those are all of the books that I got in the past 2 months. Please let me know sort of where some of these need to fall in my priority TBR, and which ones maybe I can wait a little bit longer to get to, even though I assumed that they were going to be good. So now that we've rambled a lot, I'm going to say goodbye. Hopefully I will see you in another video very soon.